Speaking of a European final, the Europa League final just happened, and the referees body PGMOL says it is appalled by the unjustified and abhorrent abuse directed at Anthony Taylor in Budapest airport following Wednesday's Europa League final. The Englishman had officiated the game where Sevilla beat Roma on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Taylor and his family were then shouted at by angry fans at the airport. Budapest airport officials said an Italian citizen involved in the incident had been charged with affray. In the video, which has been shared on social media, Taylor and his family are accosted by fans and they are escorted through the airport. Scuffles then break out as they disappear through a secure door and a chair is thrown. A Budapest airport statement read, "Fans of the losing Roma team recognized the referee in the food court of the airport where he was waiting for his flight to depart." A lot of upset fans there. Many people who didn't appreciate some of the calls the referee made on the night. However, it is still no justification for all of the threats because they didn't just threaten him, they made his family feel threatened as well.
I understand the feeling of the Giallo Rossi fans, and I understand how hurting that could be and denting to the great man's record, Jose Mourinho. But it is also unacceptable what the fans did to Anthony Taylor. I mean, being a referee on not just a match day, but a final of a major European competition. I mean, it's not so easy as people think it is. But I think that penalty he failed to give was very obvious. And I understand why these fans cannot handle or cannot contain the emotion and they are all out on him. And I think the referee's authority have done their needful, and these players or these fans, their reaction is certainly anti-football. They should be done. I mean, Anthony Taylor did not do the best of officiating. 14 yellow cards, the most in the Europa League final. I understand there's people grievances. It's a final. Roma back-to-back finals. People thought they should have won it. But Sevilla, like they say, their price is their property once again. I completely condemn this act. And I just pray that the referees in England are better referees. Because this inconsistency with the English referee is becoming very, very renowned. And it's not good for football.
It is not. It is not. As much as I do sympathize with the sense of threat they felt going through that airport, it always seems to come back to the referee made certain calls that changed the direction, the course of the game, to the degree that it is unavoidable, it is unmistakable that we will come to the conclusion that had those calls not been made, the team that has the complaint would perhaps have won the game. For years, referee errors led to wrong offside calls, goals that should have been given but never were, and fouls that should have been given never were, fouls that shouldn't have been given never that were given. Even balls going out for throwing and referees not seeing them. They are just human. They can't be in every single place at the right time. They don't have eyes at the back of their heads, and they can't keep track of the speed of the game as fast as it's going these days. And even when they can see all of it, even when they are standing right there, sometimes it takes slowing down the moment for a good interpretation to come about, because even now with VAR we still see that referee assistants, VAR referees, still make big errors in calls, in judgments, and when it comes to the English referees in particular, even the European body UEFA seems to take a step back sometimes in deciding which of them should officiate, whether they should officiate a major final. All the other referees in all the other leagues have their own unique styles, unique cultural interpretations. Because if you go to Italy, certain games don't reach the last minute mark before the referee calls the match. Certain fouls aren't given because the referee feels that the player should be stronger. And even dives are more suspicious. Referees are more suspicious of dives in Spain. But the English referees are creating a situation where we, the fans, can't trust them. UEFA can't trust them.
Well, comparing the English referees with the Italian referees, yeah, I think I'll agree to that. Growing up, they used to tell me that there is lots of, you've got to be very physical in the Italians here. I don't know. I think it's how they are brought up. I mean, the orientation of referees in Spain and England is quite different. But when it comes to a final, I mean, the UEFA should also come out to state how referees should officiate things in the final. I mean, knowing that these referees are from different backgrounds and they have different orientation on how, because English referees, they are clearly out to protect people to ensure that ridiculous tackles do not come into play.
I want to ask a
In the
quick
Italian
question.
league,
I want to ask a quick question. Based on all of the
all
issues
right.
that have been raised over the referees' inconsistencies, there have been considerations. Some of it haven't been made public, but there are ongoing discussions about how to make the game more fair or how to take advantage of certain things that other sports have that football doesn't have. Famously, the American games, most American games have a lot of ads within them. In fact, the Super Bowl has more ads than actual American football. Almost the same thing can be said about the NBA. Some people have said that one of the ways by which the Premier League, or in fact club football, and in fact football in general, could maybe take advantage of those opportunities for more ad revenue, while also perhaps offering teams a greater control over calls, is to have the option of challenge to calls. Like, say, each team gets 5 challenges. So if a referee makes a decision, even if he doesn't choose to go to the VAR, even if the VAR referee doesn't choose to call him over, a manager may say, you know what, I'm challenging that call, I'm challenging the
Or a
lack of a
captain.
call. Go to the VAR, check it out, and in the meantime, we all go to a break and wait for the decision to be made. What do you make of that potential future in the game of football?
Well, it's good in terms of the monetary values, but in terms of the flow of the game, in terms of people want to see the flow, people want to see how things is done, and it should be done within 90 minutes or plus 10 minutes. In basketball, I get to see that coaches call for timeout, and in the space of that timeout, they take advantage of it to put up one or two adverts. I mean, football is different. I mean, soccer is different because an American will understand football to be
Yeah.
something else. Soccer outside America is something different, and I don't think that would
Well,
be
a lot
good
of people
for a football itself.
a lot of people said that VAR would create a slowdown in the game, that it wouldn't allow the game to flow. We've all been living with VAR for the last few years now. We seem to be happy to get on with the game and just watch it with all of the advantages that VAR could offer us. And at times we just have to live with the disadvantages of referees still making bad decisions, even with the availability of VAR. But it hasn't slowed the game down to a significant point that we no longer love the game. Could the same thing just happen should such a proposal take effect?
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I mean, the VR doesn't really slow down the game because it only comes in when there is a significant decision to make. Maybe it's a goal or a penalty call. The VR doesn't come in when there is a throw in because that's a throw in. It doesn't come in to challenge a corner. Maybe okay after the score from that corner, maybe that's when the VR comes in. It only comes in at very key moments of the game, and that is why I think you cannot compare it to what happens in the NFL as well as the NBA, where coaches can call for a timeout, as in coaches can affect how free flowing the game is. The coach can tell the referee, "Hey, I want the game to stop. I need to talk to my boys," and that's what happens. It shouldn't happen in football. I completely disagree.
Well, hopefully we won't see any proposals that ruin the game that we love so much. Only those that will improve upon it. As always, thank you, Monday. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. I enjoy our conversations.
Oh, it was great. I mean, if sports is life, I mean, it's oxygen, so it's always a time, and I always feel it's an opportunity to express what I feel about football. And my finals, I don't know if you want my prediction for tomorrow's final, and as
Please,
well as June 10th, if I'll have the time. I
please.
think Manchester United will stop City.
And
Yep.
you think Inter Milan will stop
It's a
City
brave
again?
one. No, no, no. Yeah, Man City are going to beat Inter, but it's going to be a very difficult game.
I am I am obviously a biased sports journalist in that I do not really want City to win the treble. Unfortunately,
They're
I,
Man U fan.
I don't know who beats them that doesn't result in them going all out. In which result I would prefer? Should they win the FA Cup and not win the Champions League, or should they win the FA Cup and should they lose the FA Cup and then win the Champions League? It's all up in the air in my head. Thanks again. Always a pleasure. And to everyone at home or at work, wherever you're having the opportunity to catch us on the show. It's been Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa, and my name has been Mikhail Tinubu. Remember, life is never boring with some sports. Enjoy the rest of your evening.